Hello. So, you probably clicked on this because you're bored, and I have a solution for that. This video won't, well, it might entertain you, but it will also teach you how to entertain yourself when you don't have your phone. So, the letter game. Uh, how to play. This is a specific variant, by the way. I'll teach you about 5 other variants at the end of this. But this variant I found is the best to introduce. So, player 1 starts with a word. For example, grape. Player 2 takes the last 2 letters of that word, P and E, splits those 2 letters, and so they must come up with a word that starts with P and ends with E. So pensive, P, or practice would work. Let's say that player 2 says practice, and this is under the assumption that there's 2 players, that you can play with however many people you want. Player 2 says practice, then you take the last 2 letters, C and E, and you split them. So starts with C, ends with E. So crease, cave, cove, create, etc. And you repeat this process till you run out of time. So like bus rides, train rides, shifts that are pretty long at work, stuff like that. In my experience, the game can go for at least an hour. It really does last for a while. It passes the time, keeps your mind active. Here's an example game. So these rules, 2 of them are only really applied to the variants, and I'll tell you which variants they're applied to. But the first rule, that applies to all of them. So number 1, no acronyms: NASA, ESA, USA, EU, EPA, etc. No hyphenated words, man-made, one-up, X-ray, stuff like that. No other languages, no repeat words, so no words previously used in the same instance of the game. So that means, like, if I say run, then no other player, including myself, can say run after this in the same game. No proper nouns, so Ontario, Jackson, IKEA, Xanax. So no brand, like no brand names, no actual person names. Because then what can you, like? You can just say anything and then say it's someone's name, or brand name or place. So no repeated words in different tenses / pluralities. So in this version of the game, where you just split the last 2 letters, the pluralities thing does not really apply because it will always end in the last, like, in the same letter. So I can't say arrange and then arranges, even if I wanted to, because there'd be no S. I can't add that S at the end. The pluralities applies in different versions, which I will tell you, and I'll refer to this as Rule 2. These are the big 3 rules. But yeah, so, and no different, but the different tenses also applies here. So I can't say run and then later on in the game I say ran, because while that's possible in this version where you split the last letter because see how they're the same, you can't say it because it becomes complicated to keep track of. It's just a good rule to have. No derivatives of previous words. This rule does not apply at all in as far as I'm pretty sure it applies in some cases, but generally this instance, this like chewy and chew does not apply in the version that I'm showing you, because see how the last letter changes? Chewy, chew. But I can think of, like, okay, I won't waste your time, but this is an instance that applies in different variants and generally does not apply in this one because the last letter changes. But if in case it does apply, then you cannot use derivatives of previous words. So you can't just slightly tweak it a little bit. If it's the same word or a derivative of it, can't use it. So word challenges. If another player says a word that you are uncertain exists, or you are uncertain is spelled the way they believe, you can challenge that word. To check, you have to be the person to check the dictionary for a definition and spelling, not the player being challenged. The reasoning why you check and not the player being challenged is because if they check, they might be inspired by other words that are similar while looking at the dictionary. And by the way, you have to show them proof afterwards. So you can't just, go, oh yeah, see, yeah, it's not allowed, trust me. And then they have to believe you because you're also having a vested interest in doing that. So that helps prevent cheating. The criteria that need to be met in order for a word to qualify as a real word are arbitrary. My friends and I go off of if there's a Google definition provided instantly, like those big bold ones with the pronunciation given. For more obscure words, which happen sometimes, there should be a Webster/dictionary.com definition hyperlink to the first page of Google after searching the term word, whatever it is, definition, or some reputable dictionary. But whatever the prerequisites for a word's wordiness are for you, or validity of a word, that's completely arbitrary. So you can pick whatever you want. We just go with this. So mercy rule. In the event that a player has been trying to come up with a word for an extremely long amount of time, 10 minutes is my limit. You can set your own. Then this activates the mercy check. To see if this word really is possible, all other players must confirm that they have thought of a word for the prompt. So while other people, if there's more than one person, or even if there's two people, even if there's two players, then you should be thinking of what they should be thinking of, even if you're not playing. So if I say grape and then they're thinking of something that starts with P and ends with E, I should also be thinking of that, because if I have to activate this rule, I should already have a word in my mind. And then if they want to activate Mercy Rule, I can go, no, I'm sorry, I have a word. It's possible, and it's feasible. It's not just like technically possible. It's literally humanly possible because I came up with a word. And so unless it's really obscure and only I'd know it, then I'd let them be nice. But this rule really does also help that all players stay involved. So like you're because it comes up a lot because this game is hard, so you will have to activate the mercy rule quite often. It's good to just keep thinking of whatever the prompt is, even if you're like multiple people. And speaking of, if there are more than two players, then the players that are not currently coming up with a word, like the bystanders and observers of the group, they can talk to one another to see if their words are valid. Like once this person wants to activate the mercy rule, so like they can because just in case, just to mitigate like incorrect validity assumptions. So like if I think a word is valid and then it's possible to come up with this prompt and it turns out that my word isn't real, or it's a brand name, or I spelled it wrong in my head, telling someone else that's also not playing, that would help them. That would help me realize that. Once activated, the mercy rule essentially makes the previous player choose a new word. So instead of playing grape, I play something else, like tower. There are variants to this. For example, you could just make the player come up with a word that ends with the same letter. So if they said grape and I can't come up with a word that starts with P, ends with E, or all the P and E words have been used, then I would just have to come up with a word that ends with E. So, or starts with P or whatever. Or they could just start from the beginning. So they could just pick just a brand new word. I think I like these two variants better because if the former player picks a new word, it could it leads to some problems. Like it could contribute to I guess there's strategy in it. Choose whatever you want. They're all valid. Most importantly, have fun. This game will make you feel stupid at first, and even after playing for a full year on the bus every single day with my friends in high school, I struggled to come up with some words on occasion. Yeah, this game is hard. It no matter how smart you are or how clever you are, it's difficult. It's a hard game. The game can be brutal. It can make you feel silly. I promise you that it is normal. Our brains aren't designed to think of words in this way. Though it's nice to think of words in this way. It helps train your brain a little bit, but it's like, we think of words from their meaning. We don't really think of words from how they're spelt per se. You're very rarely using words by their spelling. You're normally using them by what they mean in your life. So like I don't think of grape as a G word. I think of grape as a fruit, a purple fruit that I like to eat, a snacking fruit, type of stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like it changes the way you think, and obviously that'll be difficult for everybody. Some people pick up on it faster because they've played word games or are just better with words, and that's fine. This is also a practice. You can practice this game, and you will improve. I guarantee you. Well, I'm not going to guarantee, but I think it's a practice game. I think you can help train your brain by memorizing common endings. So that's only in a few variants that you can do that. In this one, where when you split the word, you can't really do that. But yeah, just don't feel bad at yourselves because of this. It's a fun game. It's all good fun. Now here's the fun part: the variants. So 3-letter variant, this is like how we're splitting 2 letters here. The 3-letter variant is where we take the last 3 letters of a word. So let's say I said donut. And then I take the last 3 letters, N-U-T, and I'm spelling it that way. N-U-T, or I guess it's always N-U-T at the end. It's just the beginning that changes by spelling. But anyway, N-U-T. I come up with a word that starts with N, ends with T, and has U in the middle. So, like, not, I think is the word that I had as an example for that, not. That's a good one. N-O-U-G-H-T, like knots and crosses, I think. The river variant. So the river variant is the original that we played, and the river variant has all 3 of these apply. because you can come up because you can. I'll tell you why. But the river variant is where, let's say I say donut, and then I just have to come up with a word that starts with T. So I say tower, and then and tower ends with R, so I come up with a word that starts with R. So route. And then E, and then you continue. So it's called a river variant because it just like flows like a river. Like you can like tower and donut share a T, route and tower share a T, or share an R. And so that's nice. That's fun to play too. They're both fun. The river variant really, I mean, it's nice also given that I've given you these rules that all of them apply for the river variant, and all of them I guess technically apply for the splitting variant, but just these two less often. Um, Floating letter variant. This is really the fixed letter variant. I don't know why I called it floating letter variant, but the floating letter variant is where I will let me say your word route. I take a letter from that word and it's fixed. So the next word that I come up with has to have that letter in that placement. So O, donut. And then you just continue going down with O in the second letter. Or you could do where it's the floating letter, I guess. I just came up with this one, but I think it's good. So I'd say route, O in second letter, donut, and then the person that said donut can come up with a new letter to fix for the next player. So I put U in the second to last place, and then Rue, RUE. So you continue down like that. That could be that seems fun too. So you could try that, but I haven't ever played that with anyone. I've only played the river. The times two variant. That's about it. I think that I've played, and the 2-letter split variant, which I've played. So time two variant sounds like it is. It is much harder because of how long it takes to think of these words. Sometimes, it's like one slip up is disaster. It's basically just the splitting 2-letter variant, but you're timing it. And so that limited time really adds pressure. It's harder to come up with words under pressure. I mean, unless you work better under pressure, but me and my friends did not. And it's more of a fast-paced game. People get out. So normally in this game, there are no outs. Nobody gets out. You continue playing. But in the time two variant, there are out people, which I don't like as much. We didn't find this as fun because it's just supposed to be a casual game, and getting out is like boring because you can't. There's no point in thinking of anything. Like when you're playing the game, even if you're not actively thinking of a word, you're still trying to think of a word that they're playing for the mercy rule. And when you're out, it's just not as fun. So I don't recommend it. But if you're a very competitive group, then do it. Backwards. This is just where you do the first letter instead of the first 2 letters instead of the last 2, or you can just do the river backwards. But the last one I really like, and I came up with this after I filmed this video for the first time in my library of my college, and then realized that I recorded it wrong, so I have to film it here in my house for the weekend. But I came up with this when I was walking to my dorm afterwards. I was like, oh, this is great. Because something that bugs me about this 2-letter variant is that where you split it, the last 2 letters, it always ends with the same letter. That bugs me a lot. And so it's still fun to play, but it still bugs me. The flip-flop is where you split the last 2 letters, and then grape, and then you split the first 2 letters. And so then you have to come up with a word that starts with G and ends with R. So like gamer. And then ER. And then you would split E and R. So then you have to come up with a word that starts with E, ends with R. So error. And so then it starts with E, ends with R. And so then you split it against that, and ends something the same. But I really like the flip-flop variant because it avoids the last letter thing. I believe that all of these prohibited plays apply. It's more challenging, at least for someone who's played the last 2 letters variant a lot. And I haven't played it officially yet, but I think it'd be fun. And I think that if you don't like the thing in the exact same letter every time, which I don't really like much, then you should try it. So yeah, if you're bored with coworkers, you're at your dorm, just bored with your friends, power's out, you're on a camping trip, it's a really fun game to play with a group of people. And if they're hesitant at first, then force them to play it, because it is fun. I guarantee you. So that's how to pass the time.